Hi, thank you for watching this presentation. I'm going to be talking about my experience through this pandemic when teaching and learning languages at my institution. My name is Lucia Taylor and I'm an associate professor at Texas State University in Utah. 2020 is going to be remembered as the Covid-19 year, where there was this new virus that showed up. It wasn't clear who was getting it, how it was being transmitted, how was the virus affecting people, and what was done was different in different countries and even different cities. So, for example, we saw that countries like China, where it started, Spain and Italy had big outbreaks, were the first ones to be hit in large quantities, and the countries decided to shut down. Especially in Spain, which is where I'm from, I'm more familiar with the situation, and the whole country shut down. There was a state of emergency by the government, and the whole country just stopped. Everything was empty. Then we get to things like in the States, where it wasn't nationwide, but it was based on state governors' mandates and city mayors' ordinances. So, for example, New York, who was one of the biggest cities to be hit by the pandemic back in the spring, just shut down like other countries in Europe. So everything started to resonate to the US. We started hearing about the virus. We were about to go on spring break, which is our vacation or holiday in the middle of the semester. And we were hoping that the US wouldn't reach the European levels of transmission because different situations. It was the Atlantic Ocean was in between. The living situation is different. In Europe, most of the places are building complexes and people live in apartments, whereas in the States, most places have like individual family households. So we were hoping that it wasn't going to hit us. Didn't happen. And spring break came, and we out of nowhere got an email from our institutions. And it was, in my case, it wasn't coming just from the institution. It was a state mandate situation, saying that there was a total shutdown of the education system from primary or elementary education all the way to college and universities. Faculty across the country started adjusting to teach online. That was the new normal thing. That's what we were supposed to be doing. And basically, students across the street or across the country started emailing our faculty, asking what was going to happen for the rest of the semester, how are we going to manage teaching and learning. Faculty did not get any formal training. Few instructions were given. There was no recommendation on if we should go asynchronous or synchronous. We were not told what to do with our paper-based testing. We basically were told you're not going to be with your students in the classroom. You can't send the students to a testing center for them to take the test over there, figure it out. And basically, because of the situation, the pandemic, and the out of the ordinary situation we were going, there was no heads up for faculty or even students and even administrations. I'm not blaming the administration on this situation. We went basically on survival mode. We just tried to make the best we could with what was going on, and we did what we could. So this is what it looked like from my perspective. I had two different approaches. I was teaching 3 classes. One of them, I just did asynchronous teaching. So I was basically recording my PowerPoints and my lectures using my iPad and my Apple Pen. So I was making notes, making connections, and I tried to make short videos. It was like 10 to 11 minutes. So the students would not be overwhelmed. I was understanding that the students were stressing out because there were some of them who were originally out of state and they were stuck in a dorm. We had students who were in contact with positive cases, so they had to quarantine. So I didn't want to create a more stressful situation for my students. So I decided to do this kind of teaching in my lower division classes, like first, second semester of Spanish learning. And I still have them do some kind of discussion boards. I make them do videos with presentations, and I encourage them to try to schedule one-on-one meetings. We were given a Zoom account by the university, and I use it as instead of FaceTiming my family back in Spain, that was what I was doing with my students. I was just FaceTiming or Zooming with my students. On the other hand, I had upper division courses where the students were more familiar with the language, they had different objectives, and I did more synchronous teaching where I was at home in my office. I had my camera on and I was still doing my PowerPoints, and I was having the students participate from their homes, all at the same time, connected at the same time. This was like the full period of the lecture, so it was a different approach depending on the situation. This was a smaller class, I had more time to answer questions, and when I had everybody, I could make my screen smaller and make everybody else fit in here so I could see the students. So in the summer, there was the time to plan for the future, see what was going to happen. We were expecting to see numbers going lower because we were hoping for the virus to disappear with warmer weather, like it happens with the flu. That obviously didn't happen, so we were adjusting. Faculty was trying to redesign. I'm a department chair, and I basically told all my faculty, look, we're going face-to-face, we're going to be teaching in the classroom, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I don't want you to be caught off guard if this gets bad enough again and we need to shut down and go back online. So try to plan during the summer for a face-to-face that will be easy to be translated or moved into an online component. There were meetings with faculty senates and administrations and health departments to decide what was going to happen, what was going to look like, and we were all basically just hoping that everything was going to be okay and we were going to make it, and we were hopeful for the future. So in theory, in the fall, we decided to use a HyFlex approach. A HyFlex means hybrid and flexible, and it's a blended format where we are teaching combining physical spaces, virtual spaces, and face-to-face interaction with an online learning. So in theory, it worked. It was supposed to work perfectly because we were expecting to have students in class, we were expecting students to be at home, and this approach seemed feasible and adequate for the situation. We had cameras and microphones installed in every single classroom in the university, and we were expecting to have 50% of the students in the class at all times. So we were supposed to have half of the students on one day in the class and the other half at home, and then the next day we were meeting, these groups would switch, so whoever was online the first day would be in class the second day. The flexibility that was afforded to students by using this HyFlex approach was evident during the semester, but the style of teaching was not as easy as we thought. And this is what my class looked like in reality. So this is me in the far corner. This is one of my students. There was another student over here. And then most of my students decided to stay home. Because they were living with people who were high risk, and they didn't want to expose the possibility of being exposed to the virus. Some of them just decided not to come back out of state and stay home. Some of them just started adjusting to that 50%, so at the beginning of the semester they were coming to class on Mondays and then staying home on Wednesday. And then one day they woke up late or didn't feel like going, and they just decided to Zoom in. Obviously, because of the pandemic and the stress that was put on our health systems, we were not, I would say, allowed. It wasn't like an order, but it makes sense for us not to require our students to bring a doctor's note if they were not going to be in class, because the doctors were already stressed with the COVID and everything that was going on. So this is what was really going on. I found this on the internet, and I thought it was perfect because it's how I've been feeling through this semester, teaching both in person and remotely, because I had to manage my lectures, I had to manage Zoom, I have to manage Canvas, which is our learning management system. I had to manage the chat on Zoom because the students were asking questions over there. I had 2 microphones that were working-ish, 2 webcams, the one on my computer and the one back in the classroom, the PowerPoint, and all of this a mask, because even though I had only 1 or 2 students in the class at some points, masks are required in every state building. And the university is a state university, so we have to wear masks. So there were some issues for the students' side of it. Many students decided that Zooming in was the easy way out of the class because they could have their videos turned off and they could do whatever they needed to do. I do a lot of breakout rooms so the students can interact with each other, and that's when I always catch the students who are doing something else because they never join the breakout room that I'm assigning them to. In general, there was not so much hands-on experience. Each faculty was different. In my case, because I use a flip approach where my students have to read the material before coming to class, I do a lot of group work in those breakout rooms. But there was technology issues, students freezing, students not being able to connect their microphones. And on the faculty side, there was also some issues going on. We had issues with technology. The students could not hear the students in the classroom asking questions, so we had to repeat everything that was said. As I was saying, the student engagement was lower than other semesters, and managing the 2 settings at the same time was definitely difficult. So what we are planning right now, that's what we are discussing. What are we going to do? Do we want to stick to the HyFlex approach? Do we want to go fully online? And as I was saying earlier, I'm a department chair, so I poll my faculty. And what I found out was that only 21% of my faculty, which is, I think, is like 47 or 48 faculty members, are interested in staying with the HyFlex approach. Most of them are saying that it's because of that leniency that we're giving to the students to decide, I don't feel like going to class. People would rather do fully online, synchronously, so having everybody connecting at the same time, but they say that it's easier for them to figure it out, the technology. And then only 32% of the class will be fine having everybody back in the class with masks at all time. I don't think this is realistic because we still are going to get faculty and students who are concerned about being exposed, so we're always going to have to keep that accommodation for students who don't want to be in the class during a world pandemic. I also asked the students, and this was different because I had not asked about the spring semester, but I asked about Thanksgiving break, and most of them are planning on just staying home and connect online. So we're figuring it out. We're trying to do the best we can. We are working with the tools that we're given. It's not perfect as of right now, but I think as time is going on, we can make it work so the students are happy and the faculty are happy. So thanks for your watching my video, and if anybody has any questions, please just shoot me an email. Thank you.